You picked Boston in 7. How much better do you feel about your pick after hearing about this Athletic article?
Well, it doesn't change my anything about it, Skip. I still feel confident in my pick because I believe 2 of the 3 best players on the court at a given time will belong to the Celtics. JT, Jayson Tatum, JB, Jaylen Brown. Steph Curry in that mix, but I believe 2 of the 3 best players on the court will belong to the Boston Celtics. Now, we understand what Steve Kerr being in that situation, that core having played together for such an extended period of time, Kevon Looney, Draymond, Steph, and Clay, we understand that. But the athleticism in which the Boston Celtics can trot out there, the guy, the ability to make shots, JT, JB, I love Al Horford, the toughness that he brings, the physicality. Robert Williams should be a little more healthy, Skip. He's going to get plenty of rest. He got 3 days rest, and the next game isn't until Sunday, so he'll get 2 more days of rest, Skip. And so instead of the back-to-back, because remember, Skip, they won 12 games in 22 days. That's a toll on them. And I love what they bring. The Grant Williams can come in, and we saw what he did in Game 7, Skip, at home against the Milwaukee Bucks, where he made 7, 8 threes. That probably won't happen again, but he gives you a nice physicality. He gives you an opportunity to make some buckets. I love White coming off the bench. Saved them in a couple of games, kept them close, and then they were able to pull away late in the ball game. So for me, Skip, and the defense in which they can play, they can switch 1 through 5. I like Jayson Tatum. I like the matchup in which they present the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I understand the Warriors at home and the Celtics hadn't been very good. You're going to probably need to take care of home court, because the likelihood of you winning 3 games on Golden State's home court, Skip, isn't very good, although I do believe they're going to get one of these first 2 games in Golden State. And I agree with what they said. They've had the tougher round, Skip. Brooklyn was favored to beat the Boston Celtics. And then you have to do what they did against Giannis, and we know what Giannis represents. Although Chris Middleton wasn't there, they were very formidable. And then they had to take down the number 1 seed, the Miami Heat, and we know what the Heat represent. So I do believe they're a little more battle-tested. The core of the Warriors have been battle-tested over time, not tested as much because they got round 1, they got Jokic with really nothing around him in the first round. And then the Mavs do them a favor by knocking out the Phoenix Suns. They get the Mavs in the final, Skip. So for me, I believe that JT and JB, the matchup with which they present for the Warriors, will be a problem. So that's why I like them. 7 games, but I still like the Celtics. I didn't need these, and look, they do what they do, but I didn't need them because I had pressed my assessment on what I've seen and what I believe is going to play out in the 7-game series.
I figured you would say just that. You'd say, I got this already. I don't need any help here because I feel real good.
I do feel good.
I'm on 10 on a confidence scale of 1 to 10 in my pick. That's what Shannon Sharpe believes.
If everybody was healthy, if Robert Williams was 100% healthy, I would feel at least a 9. Right now, about 8.5, 8 3/4.
Yeah, I can hear it going up towards, ticking towards.
I mean, 9. Who knows about tomorrow? Now, I come in here and sleep on to have another good night's sleep like I had last night. Ain't no telling. It might be 11, 12.
It might be 11 or 12.
You sure might.
I can hear it in your voice.
You keep talking, I'm going to put some cases on it now.
We're getting close.
Yeah, we are getting close.
I'm about to deconstruct what the scout said and what the coach said anonymously to The Athletic. But 2 of the 3 insiders go Boston, Boston.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Golden State is still favored to win the series by the odds makers, and Golden State, the last time I looked, was a 3.5-point favorite in Game 1. But the 2 insiders say, nope, Celtics with an exclamation point. And Shannon Sharpe says, well, I knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't need anybody to tell me that. Okay, deconstructing. Scout. He says, as you echoed, that Boston had the much tougher road, a very tough road, very competitive road to get here.
They beat 2 top 5 players, Skip. I mean, most indication, I think you would agree that Kevin Durant and Giannis are 2 top 5 players in the NBA, and they took both of those teams down.
I thought the Nets were a psychological wreck, whirling around an unvaccinated Kyrie Irving. And I thought it all year, and I voiced my concerns all year. I stuck with them in the first round over Boston just because I'd picked them before the season started. But in the end, I'm not sure it was a major achievement to take down a team that had already lost at one stretch 12 straight games, in part because Kyrie couldn't play all those games because he couldn't play at home. But there was a 12-game losing streak in there. And
Or you just realized that after you picked him?
well, no, I picked him before the season started, so pride goeth before the fall. But I'm never skip over here. Once I pick,
Okay.
I dig in and
Okay.
I stand by my men.
Yep.
And I stood by these guys, but all they had to do, it was very smart, but like simply, almost stupidly smart, that Ime said, well, I don't fear Kyrie. They're kind of a mess. Let's just attack the guy, the nuclear weapon. Let's send 3 people at him.
Yeah.
And let's rough him up and knock him around and play a little NFL, NBA on him.
Mm-hmm.
And they did, and he folded. He folded his tent, even though 2 of those games were very close and went to the wire. And you could argue there was a 3rd game that was at least iffy back
Right.
and forth. But the point was, I'm not that impressed by what they did because they were the #1 defensive team. And when you only have one man to stop,
You had 2 guys in Kyrie and KD. Don't do that, Skip. You
I
just said they're 2 of the most skilled guys that's ever been assembled as a team.
yeah, but somehow Kyrie just drifted into oblivion in that series. He had that one big 4th quarter in game 1, and they had a shot to win game 1, and they did not. And yet we move along to Milwaukee, and right on cue, they get Milwaukee without its closer, without Chris Middleton, who's not quite as valuable with Giannis, but let's not underrate his value because he is a shooter. He is a professional shooter, and he is a big-time clutch shooter. And when it all falls onto the shoulders of Drew Holiday to be the second scoring option, they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
So Boston was able to say, Drew can have his. We're going to try to take Giannis out of this game with some football, basketball defense. And they did. For the most part, they controlled him about as well as you can control him.
He wasn't the efficient Giannis.
All right. And then I'm going to fast forward one more round to the Heat. Right on schedule, they get the Heat that I picked to win the championship before the playoffs started.
Yeah.
And number 1, there's little to no Tyler Hero. He was the 6th man of the year. He shot 40% from 3 and averaged 21 points a game and shot 43% from 3 during 4th quarters of regular season games. That's how he won 6th man of the year.
Right.
And he was a ghost. He was a no-show. And then he pulls his groin and he misses basically the last 3 games.
Right.
And Jimmy Butler effectively missed 3 games, and I will go to my grave wondering why.
Right.
I don't know what happened, if something internally.
That man didn't miss no 3 games. So in other words, you said he might as well have missed 3 games because game 3, 4, and 5, he didn't show up.
Well, he didn't show up in game 3 because he took himself out at halftime and didn't play the second half. And they won in spite of him, which brings me to my conclusion about this rough road. It was so rough that your JT and JBs at home, they lost 4 games. They lost twice at home to Milwaukee and twice at home to the heatless Heat. Think about that. They lost 4 games. They lost Milwaukee game 1 and game 5, and then, the Heat 3 and 6 at home. And your man JT, you say he's got a seat at the superstar table. Isn't that what you said?
No. Yeah, he got a chair with his name on it.
Okay.
He can't sit in it just yet.
Okay. The soon-to-be superstar JT, Jayson Tatum, in those 4 losses at home to Milwaukee twice, to Miami twice, in those 4 losses, he averaged 24, 7, and 5, which sounds okay until you start looking at the shooting percentage. He shot 41% from the floor, just horrendous. And he shot 32% from the three-point line. Well, you know and I know, at home, if for 4 straight games, 4 losses, you shoot 32% and you're the leading man, you are the scorer, you are the most valuable, you are a future soon-to-be superstar, that you're going to lose those 4 games because you're failing from the three-point line.
But you told me he's going against, in the Milwaukee, he had True Holiday guarding him.
Okay.
Against the Nets, you say you love Bruce Brown, who's a defensive stopper. He had him guarding him. And then in Miami, he had P.J. Tucker.
Are you a superstar or not? Or not?
He got it done. He delivered on the road. They're 7-2 on the road. They won 2 games. They won 3 games in Miami, 2 games in Milwaukee, and they won the final 2 games in Brooklyn. So they're road warriors. And so guess what? In order for them to win the championship, they're going to have to win a game on the road anyway because they don't have home court.
They're going to have to win one on the road because they're going to lose one at home.
And they might take what we know in 3 playoff games this year. They won at least 2 on the road.
and they lost 2-2 at home. And in those 4 losses, Jayson Tatum, soon-to-be superstar, averaged 4 turnovers a loss.
Yeah, he turned the ball up. But Skip, here's the thing. You can be a superstar and not be a natural playmaker. You could be not a natural distributor of the basketball, a natural facilitator. Okay. And I don't believe that's what he is. And that's why you see the high turnover rate. Okay. Because when you put him in that situation, you're asking him to do something. He's a natural bucket getter. Okay.
And in those 4 losses, JT, soon-to-be superstar, was a -25 and minus.
You know what I'm doing, Skip? Here's what I'm going to do for you. All those stats that you just read, I just threw them in the trash. Okay. JT about to go get this money. JT about to get this money now.
Then I think we're still on the scout. He said, I think Boston's bench is better.
Yeah, I do too.
There's this guy.
I don't know about all that, but
there's this guy who comes off Golden State's bench, and you talked about jumping in the swimming pool.
Yeah, the pool party.
Pool party for Jordan Poole.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I just checked this out. So in the playoff run, he's averaged 18, 3, and 5 assists, which is pretty good. Yeah. 5 assists a game coming off the bench. He shot 53% from the floor. God, that's really good for a guard, for a shooting guard.
Yeah.
39% from 3, that'll play, and 92% from the free throw line, because I think he's even a little better free throw shooter than Steph Curry is. And there's always a debate about, you going to take the tech or am I going to take it?
Well, I didn't know who would take the tech. Steph Curry. But he did win the free throw percentage for 2022. Slightly, I think he was a tick better than Steph.
All right. So this scout is questioning whether Jordan Poole will be able to stand up to finals pressure. My eye test tells me he will. And that brings us to Andrew Wiggins, and at least the scout acknowledges he could be an X factor. He averaged 16, 7, and 2 through the playoff run. And you know and I know that as a defensive stopper, he did a really superb job on Luka. He made Luka work. Yeah. He made Luka think about it. He made Luka second guess a lot of the things that he was getting away with.
But the problem is Luka is not the shooter that JT is. Okay. JT gonna be able to get them buckets because he ain't got enough bricks in his pocket to keep him from where he want to go to.
Okay. And then now we're to the coach, raving about Boston's defense. Could I remind everybody that in the regular season, Boston ranked number 1 in defensive efficiency. Guess who ranked number 2 in defensive efficiency?
It ain't 1.
Huh. Golden State.
It ain't 1.
Huh. Interesting.
And did you see who we locked down? It was hard for Miami Heat to get to 90. It was very hard. It was very hard for your guys to get any quality shots in the first round.
As they say, the Warriors were gold-blooded on defense. Gold-blooded on defense. They were number 2. So number 2, out of sight, out of mind. But number 2 is number 2. And it's pretty impressive. And I think we're dramatically underrating just how defensive-minded the offensive, explosively Golden State Warriors.
But I don't think you've given Boston enough credit, considering what they did to Golden State, what they did to Milwaukee, and Miami. It was a struggle for them to get to 100 points. I'm talking about a strugg You remember games 4 and 5? Was it 4 and 5 or 5 and 6? Where they didn't even get 100. Felt sorry for them. Took the guys out and they tried to make a comeback.
And even though Draymond just whisked Boston right into the finals before it was all over.
It was.
All I know is that, would you believe that a team without Tyler Hero had the ball in the hands of its best player? Some days he's the best player, but Jimmy Buckets had the ball in his hand for a wide-open 3 to give them a lead with 16 seconds left of Game 7. It came down to that for this team that should be now the runaway.
Nobody said no runaway.
Well, you're talking runaway. You're saying you're 8.5, rising up to 9 on the confidence scale?
I said a runaway would be the Celtics win a sweep or the gentleman sweep in 5. I got to win it in 7. That's not a runaway. But I do believe they got 2 of the. Do you believe they have 2 of the 3 best players on the court? Do you believe that Jayson Tatum and Steph Curry and Jaylen Brown are the 3 best players in this series? Yes or no?
I think people are underestimating Klay Thompson. I keep reading.
Klay is not better than JB right now. I'm not saying what Klay has done. Skip, clearly what Klay has done, he's a more accomplished. But nobody thinks that Klay Thompson is a better player, as you and I sit here and have this conversation, than JB right now.
I believe in the finals, Klay will be better than JT. So I believe.
You mean JB?
Well, either one. Name one.
Hold on. You say Klay Thompson's going to be better than Jayson Tatum?
Yeah. Well, Jayson Tatum, boy, he stinks it up when you least expect it. Does he not throw some stinkers in here? You sure about this?
I'm positive.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about who's going to be the MVP, just a couple topics here. And I am not writing off Klay Thompson to be MVP of this series. I'm not writing him off. That's how much I still believe in him.
Well, that's going to be that's a real long shot because I think it's Steph and then JT and then JB.
Okay. Here we go. We'll see.
This man say Klay Thompson is better than Jayson Tatum in the finals.
Well, you're sleeping on Klay Thompson.
I ain't sleeping on him.
Thursday evening, guys. I'm so ready for this series to start. It's going to be some awesome basketball.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.